Abyssal Murmurs. Hello everyone. Today we dive into 21 true horror stories that inspired the Blockbuster series American Horror Story. If American Horror Story has made you shiver, you will surely be even more terrified to know that the content in this Blockbuster series is based on real stories that actually happened in the past. Season 1, Murder House. Story 1, Elizabeth Short, The Black Dahlia Case. Actress Mina Suvari plays Elizabeth Short, a real character. Elizabeth was a young actress, just 22 years old, who was brutally murdered in 1947. This case is known as the Black Dahlia. Her body was cut in half, and the murderer also gave her a horrific cut from ear to ear, often referred to as the Glasgow smile. Like many other tragic and horrific murder cases from the past century, the killer has never been found. Story 2, Richard Speck and the Nurse Massacre Case. In 1966, Richard Speck, a sailor from Texas, broke into the dormitory for nursing interns in Chicago. There, he tortured, raped, and murdered 8 unfortunate girls in one night. Fortunately, one victim managed to escape death by hiding under a bed, and this girl helped the police identify the perpetrator. The murderer was sentenced to 12 years in prison. However, in 1991, he died from a heart attack. SEASON2, Asylum. Story 3, Kit and Amla Walker are inspired by Barney and Betty Hill from real life. Barney and Betty Hill were among the first people to claim that they were abducted by extraterrestrial beings in 1961. Their experiences were widely publicized when they were written into a best-selling book and became some of the most popular television shows for many years. Story 4, Dr. Thredson is built from the image of the psychopathic murderer Ed Gein. Dr. Thredson, played by actor Zachary Quinto, is known as a twisted psychiatrist who used the bones and skin of his patients, who are also his victims, to decorate his home. Similarly, in 1957, an investigation of the infamous murderer Ed Gein's residence uncovered many lampshades made of human skin and bowls made from human skulls. Not only is he the inspiration for the character of Dr. Thredson, but Ed Gein also served as a model for a series of killer characters, including Buffalo Bill in the film The Silence of the Lambs. Story 5, Grace is the embodiment of Lizzie Bordon. The girl who killed her entire family was inspired by Lizzie Bordon, who murdered her father and stepmother with an axe in 1892. Lizzie was acquitted in 1893. Story 6, Dr. Arden is a real character from the Nazi era named Joseph Mengele. Arden is the name of a brutal German doctor known for his insane experiments on his patients. This character is based on the image of Joseph Mengele, a physicist in Nazi Germany at that time. The horrific experiments that Mengele inflicted on prisoners, particularly cruel ones on twin subjects, are beyond imagination. Even the fictional character, Dr. Arden in the film, cannot compare to a fraction of the evil carried out by Joseph Mengele. CASON3, Coven. Story number 7, Marie Lavo, the Voodoo Queen. Actress Angela Bassett joined the American Horror Story Coven as the character Marie Lavo in the state of New Orleans. In reality, Lavo was a respected woman who lived in the city from around 1820 to 1860. She was originally a hairdresser who practiced dark magic. However, she used her abilities to care for patients and heal the wounds of others. To this day, many people still visit Marie Lavo's grave in the hope that she will bless them and fulfill their wishes. Story No. 8. The Axe Murderer in New Orleans. Between 1918 and 1919, a series of corpses were discovered around New Orleans. The murderer broke into the homes of the victims and used an axe or razor blade to kill anyone who did not know how to play jazz. Story 9. Madame Delphine LaLaurie. Portrayed by Kathy Bates, Madame Delphine LaLaurie belonged to the upper class of New Orleans in the 1800s. This woman tortured and killed countless servants in her terrifying bedroom. To this day, people believe that her mansion remains haunted by the spirits of those who suffered and died unjustly. Season 4. Freak Show. Story number 10. The Morbidity Museum. The Morbidity Museum is a place where Stanley and Maggie constantly try to sell humanity's depraved curiosity. In fact, it is a real place in Philadelphia called the Mutter Museum. In this museum, one can see the mummy of a woman known as the Soap Lady, a slice of the brain of the brilliant scientist Albert Einstein, and specimens and organs of famous conjoined twins. Story 11. Pepper and Schlitzie Surtees. Pepper and her husband Salty were inspired by a man named Schlitzie, the Pinhead. His head was shrunken due to a neurological developmental disorder that resulted in an unusually small brain and skull. He only had the cognitive capacity of a 3-year-old and could only speak single-syllable words. Story 12. Edward Mordrake. The actor Wes Bentley portrays Edward Mordrake, a learned scholar and musician who lived in the 1800s. The strange point is that he had 2 faces, the second one located at the back of his head. This poor man had to repeatedly beg his doctor to perform surgery to remove the excess face, as he was always hearing it whisper words from hell. After being refused by the doctor numerous times, Mordrake had no choice but to take his own life at the age of 23, with a letter requesting that the devil's face be destroyed before he was buried. Story 13. Jimmy Darling or Grady Franklin Styles in real life. Born in Pittsburgh in 1937, the lobster boy Grady Franklin Styles was forced to perform in shows to earn money from a young age and became an alcoholic. He killed his daughter's fiancée in 1978, and then Grady was shot dead by a neighbor in 1993. Story number 14. The Clown Twisty is John Wayne Gacy. Gacy was known as Clown Pogo. Between the mid-1970s and 1978, he raped and killed at least 33 boys. He was convicted and executed by lethal injection in 1994. Story 15. The Tattler Twins Dot and Bette are actually sisters, Violet and Daisy Hilton. Born in 1908, Violet and Daisy Hilton were conjoined twins at the pelvis. They arrived in San Francisco in 1915, and at the age of 20, they performed in a variety show alongside comedian Charlie Chaplin. They lost their jobs after a period of economic downturn. SEASON5 Hotel. Story number 16. Cortez Hotel and its real-life counterpart, Cecil Hotel. The show's writer Ryan Murphy has stated that the Cortez is a version of the Cecil Hotel, later renamed Stay on Main in Los Angeles, USA. The Cecil attracted many guests, including notorious serial killers such as the Night Stalker, infamous murderer Jack Unterweger, and the perpetrator of the Black Dahlia case. The Cecil Hotel was also the site of the mysterious death of Elisa Lam, a student who went missing and was found dead in the hotel's water tank. Additionally, the hotel has exhibited many strange and eerie occurrences in its elevator. Story 17. Mr. March is inspired by the image of the murderer H. Holmes. H. Holmes is a character commonly known by the nickname America's first serial killer. In 1893, during the Chicago World's Fair, Mr. Holmes invested in real estate, but this was where he used to reconstruct a sinister hotel filled with dead bodies. Holmes concealed the bodies of his victims within the walls of this hotel. Story 18. Aileen Wuornos. Lily Rabe plays Aileen Wuornos, a serial killer portrayed by Charlize Theron in Monster. Wuornos killed 7 men while working as a prostitute from 1989 to 1990. She was sentenced to death and subsequently executed by lethal injection in 2002. Story 19. Jeffrey Dahmer. From 1978 to 1991, Dahmer killed 17 young men in Wisconsin. His criminal acts included assaulting the victims, dismembering them, and even turning them into his meals. In American Horror Story, Jeffrey Dahmer is portrayed by Seth Gable. Story number 20. Richard Ramirez. The character Richard Ramirez is portrayed by Anthony Ruivar. In reality, Ramirez admitted that he worshipped Satan. In the 1980s in California, he randomly selected his victims to murder 13 people and torture many others. SEASON 6, Rowan Oak. Story number 21. The Lost Colony of Rowan Oak. This is one of the oldest mysteries in American history. A town of 117 people in the Outer Banks, now North Carolina, vanished without a trace in 1590. The only things found were a skeleton and the mysterious word CROATOAN carved into a nearby fence. To this day, the story of the 117 people suddenly evaporating remains a chilling enigma without any answers. Dear friends, the story has come to an end. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. If you found this story interesting and helpful, please don't forget to support the narrator and Abyssal Murmurs by hitting like and leaving a comment. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss out on our upcoming captivating videos. Once again, thank you for your attention and support. Goodbye, and see you in the next videos.